It's Tuesday afternoon. That means it's two things. It is draft time and it is Terra time right here on Fantasy Football Today. Adam Azer and Jamie Eisenberg joined as always on our Tuesday afternoon streams by Tara Roberts at It's Terra Time on Twitter. And just found out she was in the first Scott Fishbowl draft to finish. That is amazing. How do you feel about that? Do you miss it? Do you wish you were doing a real draft right now?
I kind of do miss it. I do keep going through Twitter, scrolling through, looking at everyone's teams in progress. I'm like, okay, yeah, we're all wrapped up. But yeah, we had a good group trucking along and finished in an incredibly fast pace.
Too fast. You needed some auto picks in there. You should have invited me to be in that group as well. I'm in round 17 of that draft. Jamie, where are you?
Round 17 as well. I have changed our name from Orlando to Slowlando. So.
All right. Well, back to business. Today we have a non-PPR mock draft, 12-team non-PPR mock draft. And Jamie, let's take a look at the roster construction here. Still 3 wide receivers and a tight end. And is there a flex or no flex?
Oh, I might have forgot the flex.
You did forget the flex.
Let's see if I can change that.
Okay, we'll see if we can change that to adding a flex here. You're going to see, I'll toggle to Jamie's rankings. You'll see his overall rankings there on the left. While Jamie's doing that, last 3 years, I looked at the top 12 scorers in non-PPR in the last 3 years, not including quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. In the last 3 seasons, there have been 2, 4, and 6 non-running backs in the top 12. So in 2019, 10 of the top 12 were running backs. In 2020, 8 of the top 12 were running backs. Last year, there were actually 6 non-running backs in the top 12. These were the top 12 scorers in non-PPR, not including quarterbacks. Last year, Jonathan Taylor actually scored 40 more points than Cooper Kupp in this format, even though Kupp had 105 more catches. So you can do the math. He crushed Taylor in full PPR. He lost by 40 in non-PPR. So anyway, it was Taylor, Kupp, Eckler, Deebo Samuel, Joe Mixon, Najee Harris, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, James Conner, Ezekiel Elliott, and I believe Mark Andrews was 12. So 6 running backs, 1 tight end, 5 wide receivers in your top 12 last year. That surprised me, Tara. I mean, it was a down year for running backs, but I'm much more run heavy and non-PPR, running back heavy than what that would indicate. Where half of the top 12 were not running backs last year.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I think we're kind of seeing a trend here of these wide receivers getting pretty aggressive in terms of being a lot more viable in standard leagues. But I'm with you. I think it kind of changes up the type of receivers that you have to look at as well.
In what sense?
In the sense when you're looking in standard, there are certain players that don't that you have to realistically look at as players that you have to move back a little bit, like a Keenan Allen, a guy that is probably not going to get that type of boost up that a Cooper Kupp or a Justin Jefferson would from a touchdown perspective. So I think you just need to be a little bit cautious when you're looking at these wide receivers and make sure that you're picking the right types that are going to be that aggressive red zone presence and not ones that are going to be heavy on volume, heavy on catches, and a little low on touchdowns. So you can still push those receivers up there, but you have to kind of pick and choose and be careful about which ones that you're pushing as those potential 6 to maybe carry over to next year.
Yeah, actually, Keenan Allen's a great example. He's right on top of the list. In full PPR, he's been top 13 5 straight seasons, top 8 in 3 of those 5 seasons. In non-PPR, on a per-game basis, he has finished in the last – he had 1 wide receiver 4 finish, but since then, 16th, 18th, 13th, and 21st. So he's been top 12 only once per game in the last 5 years in non-PPR. That's Keenan Allen. So this is when a guy like Mike Evans would be, the opposite, where he'd be even better in this format. Are we good, Jamie? What's going on here?
Sorry.
We're restarting the draft, or
I keep screwing it up.
That's all right.
When I come off vacation, Adam makes me work.
Here's the worst comment we've had today. I want Adam to do weekly rankings. Nobody wants that, especially Adam. Nobody wants that. So, Yeah, look, if you don't do any more non-PPR mock draft or drafts, I understand, but there's still plenty you can take away from this. Plenty of lessons to be learned, just about the way players are being drafted, who's going ahead of who and whatnot. And if you have any questions specifically for your league, then you fire away and you ask us questions in the chat. I wasn't prepared for this long of an intro, before we got actually going here, but vacation, Jamie. So here's one from Kicking in the Door 36. Keeper question in a full PPR league. Pick 2 out of 4. Kamara, Akers, Tyreek Hill, and Stephon Diggs. Who are you taking, Tara?
Diggs for sure.
Yeah.
And I know we're a little bit worried about the volume that Tyreek's going to get, but I'd probably still stick with Tyreek.
Can we get a little news on Kamara? That would be very helpful. Diggs is the answer for sure, and she's going with Kamara. Or she's going with Tyreek Hill. Mahmoud is going with Kamara. But how was your weekend, Tara?
It was pretty good. Working lots, but
Work.
gotta do that. Yeah. Gotta get in as much as I can.
'Tis the season to be working on the weekend. Jamie. Oh, we're backing out picks. All right. Take those picks off the board.
Well, I didn't back it out. I had to restart it because I didn't have the flex in. And then when I reset the draft, I didn't clear out the rosters of the first 3 picks. So bad commissioner. I'm sorry.
That's okay. All right. So Jonathan Taylor was the first pick originally when Rob was on the clock. Rob Thomas joining us today. He took Derrick Henry. We'll see if anything changes here. I'm guessing no.
No, the order changed.
The draft order changed?
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but the draft order changed.
Okay. Jamie's got the 3rd pick now. I guess he didn't like where he was originally picking. So
no, I had the 3rd pick before. Mine didn't change, but I don't understand.
All right. Tara has the 4th pick. Derrick Henry is number 2 overall. Let's see. Jamie, when do you think Cooper Kupp should go?
He'll go in the 1st round, but my guess is toward the back end of the 1st round.
Jamie takes Christian McCaffrey. All right, Tara, what do you got?
I am taking Austin Eckler.
Oh, in non-PPR, huh?
I am in standard when it comes to this. I would say probably like the top 12 running backs. Those for especially 1st round running backs. There might be a position or 2 difference, but it's not so drastic that I'm going to be pivoting far away from guys like Austin Eckler.
All right. So Eckler is the 4th pick.
He did score 20 touchdowns, Adam. I don't know if you heard.
He could. By the way, that's great that Schneier had the 1st pick and then JB screwed up everything, and now Schneier does not have the 1st pick. That is great. Is he on the clock right now? He is.
Dan is up now, yes.
Najee Harris was the 5th pick. So
the league we're not playing out. He can be very upset.
Yeah.
It's very surprising that Dan's upset about something.
Yeah, I know, right? But it wasn't something that I did. Dalvin Cook is the pick for Schneier. So I can tell you with the 8th pick, I am not going to take Cooper Kupp. Let's see how far he falls. Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to. Mixon. That was such an obvious pick. So now it's definitely a little bit harder here. You look at Jamie's rankings. These are his what, PPR? Or these are your non-PPR rankings, right?
Yes. In our draft rooms, our 2 default rankings are non and full PPR, depending on the format you're in. So any PPR scoring will default to our PPR rankings.
All right, so this is clearly when Cooper Kupp at least comes into the discussion for me. I think I'm going to go with Nick Chubb, though. There are going to be a lot more running backs taken. You'll have everything taken here. You'll have all the positions except for quarterback.
So I'm sure you guys discussed this last week, the report that it could be 4 to 6 games for Deshaun Watson.
We discussed it as, hey, it's not a report we were really running with, but
it's still within the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
And if it is 4 games, that Browns offense, everything changes.
It does. I don't know how much it changes for Nick Chubb, though. I don't know if it's good
More
or
scoring
bad.
opportunities.
More scoring opportunities, yes. But, I mean, I looked at the games last year. First of all, Baker Mayfield was terrible last year. And, Chubb was Chubb. And then there were 3 games where Baker Mayfield didn't play, and they were even worse. They didn't even throw for 200 yards in any of those games. And they ran all over the place. They had a ton of carries in that game. Plus, you don't have Deshaun Watson stealing goal line touchdowns, which he tends to do. I don't know. I mean, am I crazy to think it doesn't really change that much for Nick Chubb?
I think it changes the way that he'll get the fantasy points. If Deshaun plays, it's going to be through volume through the offense. And if Deshaun doesn't play, it's going to be through volume if he's the main one they're going to have to rely on.
Right. I feel like if Deshaun Watson doesn't play, they will run the ball more.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson are off the board. So, Jamie, based on your rankings, you would have taken these 3 wide receivers that just went Kupp, Jefferson, Chase ahead of Nick Chubb. Is it, did I make a bad decision or just a toss-up?
It's a toss-up. I think, you're leaning on the running backs, and that's fine. It's a matter of which player would have come back to you. And clearly, you're taking Chubb, and probably if you want to go receiver, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, all potentially could be there. Same with Travis Kelce. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing here, you see if you can see who's up. We were hoping to have Nando DeFino on with us. He had a family situation to take care of, and so instead of finding a 12th person, we're going to go with what our ADP is here so far on CBS, and I'm going to kind of manage it a little bit.
Okay, so Jamie's team 12 is going to be the ADP team, and we'll see how that goes. You're going to use the non-PPR ADP, I assume?
Yeah.
Or we just have one ADP, actually?
So the ADP is going to suggest right now Travis Kelce and Alvin Kamara. So we're going to take that as the first 2 picks.
Ugh, I don't like it. Do you? Well, it's just Kamara's a little nerve-wracking there.
I like Kelce there.
I mean, there's the potential of Kamara not getting suspended at all, because of when the court date is scheduled for and how the NFL typically reacts to these things. It could also be like an Ezekiel Elliott type suspension where it happens in the middle of the season if there is some resolution to this. If he plays all 16 games, this is the spot he's going to get drafted, or 17 games. Eligible for all 17 games. He's going to get drafted at the back end of round 1, beginning of round 2.
I'm trying to find his Travis Kelce's non-PPR finish among wide receivers. Do I have that? Yes, I do. In non-PPR over the last 4 seasons, Travis Kelce has been a top 9 wide receiver 3 of the last 4 years. And the year that Mahomes missed some time, had kind of a funky offense, he was 18th. But he's been 8th, 18th, 3rd, and 9th. That has been Travis Kelce, where he's finished among wide receivers in non-PPR in each of the last per game over the last 4 seasons. But against running backs, he's been 11th, 20th, 7th, and 16th. So if that's confusing, I'll say it again. Travis Kelce, you might want to know, where does he rank up? Where does he measure up against running backs per game over the last 4 seasons? Actually, per game it's worse. That was full season. Per game, he's been RB16, RB28, RB10, and RB24. And that is why I would not take Travis Kelce in round 1 in a non-PPR league. He's had 1 year in the last 4 where he's been better than RB16 on a per game basis. It's just such a different format.
But he doesn't play running back. He plays tight end, and you're still getting an edge at that position over everybody else.
You are, but you're passing up guys who are probably going to score a lot more points than him. So I don't know. It depends how you look at it. I mean, how do you look at it knowing what I just told you, that he's only been a top 15 running back once in the last 4 years in non-PPR? You still think is he a first round? Is he a borderline first round pick for you, Kelce?
I think so, but I certainly see the argument against it.
Tara, what do you think?
I get it. Although now that you lay it out that way, and I'm kind of looking at the stats, it does kind of lessen the difference in terms of points per game between him and those top 5. So, top 4 really. So are you getting that much of advantage? I think you probably wait it out a little bit. I would still argue it in the second round.
Yeah. He's obviously amazing, but he just has so many catches. So that helps out against every other position, basically. All right, I know Brinson is actually doing a podcast right now, so we'll forgive him if he auto picks or misses times out a couple times. He's doing the Pick 6 podcast. We don't want you to watch that live. We want you to watch that on demand because you're watching us right now. Keith is on the clock. He took Justin Jefferson in the first round. So now you had the last 4 picks of round 1 were non-running backs. The first 8 were running backs. The last 4 were Kupp, Jefferson, Chase, and Kelce. And then you have Kamara and Aaron Jones going. oh, wow, Heath going with 2 non-running backs in a non-PPR league where he's not picking until the 10th pick of round 3. I don't know which running backs are going to be available at that point. I mean, maybe he's going to be looking at like Cam Akers and Breece Hall, maybe. We'll see. So that was a bold strategy. DeAndre Swift is the pick, and now I am up. And yeah, let's go with Stephon Diggs. Jamie, thank you for doing these rankings. Make things very easy for me.
You're welcome. Happy to help.
Yeah, so Heath is the only one daring enough to not take a running back with either of his first 2 picks. Stephon Diggs, then Devontae Adams is the pick. And fire away with your questions if you got any here. I haven't been looking. I'm sorry. Here's Mark Andrews and Kyle Pitts will put up similar numbers this year. Anybody agree with that?
I do not, but it would be great for Pitts if he reaches Mark Andrews' level. It would be bad for probably Andrews if he falls down to Pitts' level. I mean, look, it's the touchdowns. Pitts has to find the end zone probably close to 7 or 8 times, and that's a significant leap. I think he could do it, but I'm not anticipating that until I see it.
Okay, they will triple team Pitts, LOL. They will. I never know how to feel about that. We're not going to triple team him, but he is going to he's going to get double teamed a lot. He was probably double teamed a lot last year. What they Russell Gage running beside him. But when somebody is so clearly the top target, do you take they're going to double team him approach, or he's just going to get so many targets, it's not going to matter approach? Jamie, you can answer because Tara's on the clock.
I mean, he's going to see additional coverage, but you would probably expect him, if Calvin Ridley was playing and Drake London was on the field, to still see sometimes seeing additional coverage. It's a lot tougher to put guys that are on the boundary and have them see a safety rolled all the way over the top that way when there's guys in the middle of the field that can do stuff. He's going to probably have a linebacker over top of him or a slot corner over top of him, and then a safety on, over top of that. So he's going to see a lot of, 2 looks, 3 looks. That's just the nature, I think, of how he's going to operate. But I think he's going to have the opportunity to beat that.
All right, Tara has Leonard Fournette. Oh, sorry, Jamie just took Leonard Fournette. Tara has Austin Eckler and James Conner. Jamie, you took Leonard Fournette to go with Christian McCaffrey. So, Tara, did you...
Yeah, there's no risk involved with those 2.
Did you downgrade Leonard Fournette at all based on what Rick Stroud said, that the coaches were upset with the way he skipped OTAs and then showed up to minicamp overweight?
I'm not going to, just based off the fact that I think Tom Brady will still favor him, and the odds of him relying on Rachaad White as a preference is slim to none early in the season. So I think Leonard Fournette would be able to hold on to the job. But me choosing James Conner over Leonard Fournette is just that in standard, I just like Conner better to remain the same goal line work that he had in 2021 over Leonard Fournette that I feel is, a little bit stronger in PPR. So if we switched it, I'd probably go with Fournette. But in standard, I'm going to lean towards Conner.
Deebo Samuel went after you took Fournette, Jamie. Is Deebo someone who you think is better? Like Mike Evans went 20th, right? He's a guy that's clearly better in this format. You're not going to see Keenan Allen in the second round in this format. Is Deebo a non-PPR guy?
I like him better in non-PPR than I do in PPR, yes. I think, the concerns I have with him are his reception total, because clearly if he's getting carries, which is going to be the biggest question mark, that's not maximizing what he does in a PPR format. In a non-PPR format where he can still score in a variety of ways, I think that boosts up his value a little bit. So he's closer to 12 in PPR than he is in non-PPR. And in non-PPR, he's the top 10 guy for me still.
All right, Tyreek Hill and Javonte Williams after Barkley was taken to end round 2. It was Hill, Javonte, and now Jamie takes A.J. Brown, his first wide receiver. I don't know that so much looks different here so far compared to a full PPR draft. I mean, the order was different, right? You're not going to see the first 8 picks be running backs in a full PPR league. But, A.J. Brown going 27th, Javonte Williams going in round 3. This is what our drafts typically look like, right? I mean, it's not that different. For example, looking at the names that are on the board now for Tara in this non-PPR draft, they're not that different than what would be there in a full PPR draft.
Correct. I think the one thing that might have changed is if we had done a two receiver league.
Yeah.
We probably would have seen, guys like Javonte Williams, maybe a Cam Akers, maybe, another running back or two pushed up into the second round and a more heavy emphasis on running backs.
Yeah.
But for the most part, no, nothing has changed dramatically yet.
Mm.
I think it's probably more what you'll see is what people do with their flex options.
Yeah, that's going to be a big change too. Michael Pittman to Tara. So now we look at Tara's team here. Tara has, there she is, James Conner and Austin Eckler at running back and Michael Pittman at wide receiver. Jamie has McCaffrey and Fournette with A.J. Brown. Not a lot of injury risk on that team. George has three players, Barkley and Taylor and Tyreek Hill. And who else has three players? Three players, anybody? Najee Harris, David Montgomery, and Mike Evans. Dalvin Cook, Cam Akers, and CeeDee Lamb. And I am on the clock. Let's see. The last pick was Kyle Pitts. Well, J.K. Dobbins would definitely be my pick here if I knew he was 100% ready. I'm just going to pick him.
He says he's 100%.
Yeah. Well, he says he'll be ready for week 1. I'm going to pick him. This is obviously a guy who gains value in non-PPR. But, I still think he could be a 20-catch guy. It's not going to be a 5-catch guy or something. He could 20 to 25 is realistic for J.K. Dobbins. And finally, Keenan Allen comes off the board. Keenan Allen over T. Higgins, DJ Moore. Is this too early for Keenan Allen, Tara?
This is kind of a weird spot where all of these guys are incredibly similar. I might have gone with DJ Moore in the upside that maybe the touchdowns will increase with Baker Mayfield going there. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that Keenan Allen is a terrible pick there.
All right, let's see what Heath is going to do. Heath, the only team without a running back. Now he takes Josh Jacobs. It's never too early for Josh Jacobs for Heath Cummings, as he took him 34th overall to go with Justin Jefferson and Mark Andrews. We have 3 tight ends off the board so far. I'm going to check over in the chat, see if we have any questions here. And hopefully we do. All right. Here's a good one. Keeper question. Okay. Well, let us know what that keeper question is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, this is a great question here. In non-PPR with 6-point passing touchdowns, would you move quarterbacks up your draft board significantly? Josh
Not
Allen
significantly.
actually. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Not significantly.
No.
Okay, after Jacobs, we saw Higgins and Josh Allen went to team ADP. The average draft position team just took Josh Allen at the end of round 3. The reason why it's a good question is because this is the type of format where quarterbacks are most valuable just based on the scoring. It's non-PPR. They don't catch any passes, but they're not losing any points there. And it's 6-point per passing touchdown. If you took away the third wide receiver, then it would make them even more valuable, I think. But there's still, the fact is there are so many good ones that there's just no reason to push the whole position up. And Antonio Gibson, Jamie, that was the ADP pick?
That was the ADP pick. I mean, again, if you are downgrading receivers here, to have Josh Allen, Travis Kelce, Alvin Kamara, and Antonio Gibson, it's not bad.
Okay, so that's a 0 wide receiver team, huh?
Yep.
Okay, Allen, team 12. Allen, Kamara, and Gibson, and Travis Kelce. Very, very interesting team there. Some of the next picks, Chris Godwin and Breece Hall. All right, so what do you think about Heath's team after he went without a running back for the first 2 rounds? He ends up with Jefferson, Andrews, Josh Jacobs, and Breece Hall.
So I actually like Heath's team because I think in standard, it's easier to find those guys those mid-round guys that will have that little bit of a boost in standard, and Josh Jacobs definitely being one of them. If he sees a lot more goal line work and a little bit less pass catching work this year, just because the way that the offense is going to go under Josh McDaniels, I don't dislike it. I think it's a good way to go.
All right, so I'm on the clock. My team is Nick Chubb, Stephon Diggs, and J.K. Dobbins. I definitely would have taken Ezekiel Elliott there and just grabbed my third running back, but he went with the pick before me. The next best running back in Jamie's rankings is A.J. Dillon, so it's a little bit early, I think, for A.J. Dillon. So I will take really want to take Sutton. I'll take DJ Moore. I think that's perfectly good. Well, because I really feel like DJ Moore is going to have 20 more catches than Cortland Sutton. I mean, in a PPR league, I don't even consider Sutton there, but I'm really thinking about touchdowns, and Sutton, Mike Williams, those guys. Well, Allen Robinson too, but I would never take him. What pick was that? 42nd overall? No way. 41st. I was starting to think about touchdowns. You don't want to go too far in that direction. So, DJ Moore there. Okay. Back to the draft. After I took DJ Moore, A.J. Dillon. I mean, what do you think about A.J. Dillon? We never see him go 42nd in our PPR leagues. His ADP in PPR is 62. I'll get his ADP in non-PPR from Fantasy Pros. But Jamie,
I would have taken him for sure.
He was your highest ranked running back there.
He would have, if he made it to me in this round, I would have taken him.
That's interesting. Tara, what do you think? Do you think A.J. Dillon is a mid-4th round pick in a non-PPR league?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. It's pushing down the wide receivers now at this point. Let's see where A.J. Dillon is going in non-PPR. He's still 58th in non-PPR on Fantasy Pros, his ADP. Other guys that are going in this range, 46. Deontay Johnson. Well, Deontay Johnson's 38th. Kittle and Waller, are they still on the board?
They just went.
Okay, so yeah, those guys, McLaurin, Metcalf, ETN, some quarterbacks, Elijah Mitchell, Mike Williams, Dobbins, who was already gone. Yeah, that was early for Dillon according to ADP, but not according to us.
A.J. Dillon winning the month of July, by the way. Yeah,
you know what? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I got to disagree with you.
Why?
Because that was really wrong. He hit the crap out of that guy, and he knocked his mascot hat off, his mascot head off. We're not supposed to see the actual person.
Did you see what else he did?
No. Is it better than flattening the mascot?
Yes. It was a very feel-good moment. He was doing a photo shoot in the stadium when there was a tour going on. And he walked out of where he was doing the photo shoot and saw the tour just happened to be right where he was standing. And he went over and took pictures with everybody on the tour.
That's very cool. He owed it to everyone for that moment. Let's see. Ooh, how about this? A.J. Dillon is the number 1 running back, the RB1 for Green Bay, in my opinion. Thoughts?
I don't think so if everybody's healthy, but
I don't agree. Just because so he is going to get probably a good chunk of the majority of the work on the ground, but there's still so much that Aaron Jones is going to get, plus the pass catching work. It's all going to end up in terms of the fantasy scoring, it's going to be Aaron Jones.
Yeah,
but A.J. Dillon is still going to have. I think he's an RB2 lock.
RB2, okay. Patrick saying, I guess this was about DJ Moore versus Cortland Sutton. We're really going with Baker Mayfield over Russell Wilson. Well, it's not just that. I mean, it's Sutton versus Judy versus Patrick. We don't know how that split's going to be. Moore had 160 something targets last year. Okay, here's an IDP question from John Luca. I was offered to join a league this year with 6-point passing touchdowns and 2 defensive players. I've never been in a league with IDP. What are your thoughts on those leagues?
Adam and I both play an IDP league. Tara, I don't know if you do as well. Ours is pretty well. I play in 2 of them, but the one that we do is pretty extensive with 28 or fit. How many roster spots is that? 15?
I think 29 roster spots with a big bench. 10. Gosh. We start a normal offensive lineup plus 2 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 2 defensive backs.
It's 2 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 3 defensive backs, and 1 flex.
1 defensive flex. So actually, I'm curious, Jamie, just in general, do you put more emphasis on the IDPs in a league that starts a lot of them or in a league that starts just a few of them?
I don't really put the same. I mean, I kind of approach it the same way, where I kind of just let the board fall to me. I'm never going to be the first person to dip my toe in the defensive player pool, but I mean, you know, I think if you only start 2, it's not bad to, you know, be somewhat aggressive with it, but you know, it would probably still be after round 8 or 9 still.
Okay.
Yeah, I play in a. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Tara. Go ahead.
I do play in IDP leagues, and I say the one thing about IDP is you will not find a more fun draft because there's so many different ways it can go. Like Jamie was saying, even if you're not the person that's jumping in, taking defensive players early, somebody will. You'll enjoy seeing different offensive value fall further down the board. You can take different strategies. Are you going youth? What types of, looking at the different point scoring for those IDP players leans towards what positions you value more. So yeah, if you're looking for a fun draft, IDP leagues are very interesting.
All right, let's take a look at round 5 here. DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton, Allen Robinson, Terry McLaurin, Jalen Waddle, and Jerry Jeudy. So obviously a wide receiver run here. In fact, the last 2 picks of round 4 were wide receivers, Mike Williams and Marquise Brown. So that means we had 8 straight, 7 straight, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 8 straight wide receivers off the board. Now Justin Herbert is selected. Tara and Jamie, you can talk about your wide receivers, but Jamie, you took Allen Robinson ahead of Terry McLaurin, ahead of Jalen Waddle. Why did you take Allen Robinson there?
I think there's more touchdown potential for Robinson in the offense that he plays in. I'm counting on him bouncing back with the Rams. I'm excited about that. So I think he'll go through the Rams car wash, stay healthy, and have a big season.
Okay, I'm on the clock with Chubb, Dobbins, Diggs, and DJ Moore, and we're going with Elijah Mitchell. Okay. He is my flex, but no flex is showing up. What happened here? It'll show up. All right, Elijah Mitchell.
It'll be fine.
What's that?
Hit F5 because you didn't refresh it after I changed it.
Okay, ready, everybody? We're going to refresh the draft room. Yay. Now let's see my team. Get out of here, chat. Get out of here, Q. There's my team. Elijah Mitchell's in my flex. I love this. This team is amazing. Oh, my God. Let's play this out. I've got all of the non-PPR running backs, baby. All right. Let's see how Heath is doing here. Who did Heath just take? He took he took Damian Harris. Oh, my gosh. What a downgrade. Elijah Mitchell to Damian Harris. Why didn't he take Miles Sanders? That's interesting.
I guess he wants the potential of 20 touchdowns.
Not going to happen. Patrick Mahomes was taken. How many quarterbacks off the board? 3?
3 quarterbacks, yes.
There you go. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Justin Herbert are taken here. These are the projections. Let's switch it over to Jamie's rankings. You can see the best available quarterbacks, see the best available players here. Deontay Johnson still on the board. Miles Sanders. 5 tight ends are off the board, so Dalton Schultz could come off the board in round 6. Deontay Johnson at 59 overall. It seems like a pretty good pick right there. He went behind a lot of guys he doesn't usually go after. Any picks that really stand out in this round, guys? Good or bad?
Well, your pick was terrible, but otherwise it was fine.
Get out of town. Pick was terrific.
No, I mean, this is I think where you're starting to see the switch. This would probably be a little bit more of a mixed round, but the receivers who got pushed down to this spot, I think, kind of speaks to what this format is.
Okay.
I think the Damian Harris one is very interesting. That's one of those players where we know for sure that he's a standard running back that will outperform his PPR rank by a lot. It's just a matter of whether he gets that same goal line work and that same touchdown opportunities. It's risky, but if it works out, it pays off big for Heath.
How's Team ADP looking here? Team ADP says Team 12. Josh Allen, Alvin Kamara, Antonio Gibson, Travis Kelce, Miles Sanders, and the first wide receiver that Team ADP took was Adam Thielen. It's a pretty interesting team.
A lot of touchdown potential.
Heath takes Lamar Jackson. He has Jackson, Hall, and Jacobs, Jefferson, Andrews, and Damian Harris. All right, let's see how Thomas Schaefer's team is looking here. Thomas Schaefer just selected. He has Mahomes, Swift and Zeke, Kupp, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen. All right, it's a solid squad. And I am on the clock. Terrific team. That's interesting. So I would definitely take Dalton Schultz here in a PPR league, or probably even half PPR, but I'm not really feeling that.
Your guy, Dawson Knox, he's available.
Not just yet, sir. No running backs. See, do I want to?
You got your 2 quarterbacks yet?
No, not just yet. I'm gonna go with Gabriel Davis, the king of touchdowns.
The king.
He is basically the king of touchdowns. Give this guy 5 targets, he scores. All right, let's go back to the results here and the best overall players. Man, what a freaking team! Just crushing it. Amari Cooper off the board.
Just crushing.
I mean, look at Captain Spock. I like Adams' Elijah Mitchell pick. Me too. People talk about Shanahan, hot hand approach. He had 80.5% touch share last year, 4th in the NFL and highest in Shanahan's career. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds right. 5 or 6 games with 20-plus carries. Give me a break. They love him. He's great. We win.
I mean, did he not love Raheem Mostert? Did he not
Gabe
love
did.
Jeff Wilson?
Yes, he did. He did, but they got hurt. He didn't bench them. They got hurt.
Well, what's Elijah Mitchell right now?
Wait, he's Elijah Mitchell. He's great. Gabe, look at all these people who love the team.
No, it's a good pick. I mean, he's better in this format, clearly. Him and Damian Harris get a big boost in this type of situation where you don't have to worry about their catches.
I wonder how many times Adam got wedgies in his lifetime. I don't know. I had an older brother, but I never got a wedgie at school or anything like that. And nor did I give a wedgie. Let's see. Who is the best quarterback to draft if you wait extremely late? Jameis Winston, Trevor Lawrence, etc. Tara, why don't you take that one?
If you are waiting extremely, how extremely is extremely in a 1 QB league?
I mean, I think
why am I blinking
here of Jameis Winston, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields goes in this range. Actually,
thank you. Justin Fields. That's someone who I would take a stab at. Someone who is a late pick but does have the upside potential. Yeah, I would probably lean towards that direction over those guys.
Let's catch up on round 6. Thielen, Goddard, Lamar Jackson, Michael Thomas, Gabriel Davis, Amari Cooper, Darnell Mooney, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins to Tara, Dalton Schultz to Jamie, and Jalen Hurts to Rob. I want to try one thing here. See if I can zoom in, if that helps at all. How do I do that? There should be a zoom in button, right? What happened to my little window here? I don't know. I'm going to see if I can make the draft results bigger. Jamie, what stands out to you in this round?
Let me look at the round again. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So we're talking about round 5?
Round 6.
Round 6, excuse me. I mean, this is, again, it's a very heavy receiver round. I'm curious, Tara, with your DeAndre Hopkins pick, what you expect from him week 7 on.
So that one was a little tough for me because I know DeAndre Hopkins is someone who definitely is going to outperform in PPR. But again, you're still looking at somebody that even in standard is going to be a wide receiver 1 on a per game average. So for me, that felt like a good direction to go because when you look at my receivers, you don't really have anyone that's a absolute lock to be a top 10 average. And I feel like DeAndre Hopkins is one of those guys. So that's why I went with that pick right there.
Oh, what I'm doing is not helping at all. Sorry about that, folks. terrible job here. There's like a thing where you can hit it and then you can select your zoom. I don't know where that went, but yeah, technology not my friend today. All right. Where does Chase Edmonds come into play in non-PPR? Great question.
I was debating. So I just took Tony Pollard, and I don't have it ranked this way. I have Edmonds ranked higher than Pollard. This is the round I think, you should probably start to consider Chase Edmonds if you are looking at the way the board is sort of falling, because he's one of the few still remaining starting running backs. At least we expect him to be the starter. But I already have 3 backs. And so I'm looking now for a potential league winner. And so it was, do I want Chase Edmonds as my fourth running back or Tony Pollard as my fourth running back? And for me, that's a no-brainer. It's the upside of what Tony Pollard can be. And it seems like Tara just made a similar pick, taking what the upside of Ken Walker can be. I'll let you speak about that. But, it's just Chase Edmonds can be good in non-PPR. I think his value is a little bit higher in full PPR, half PPR. But I think, in terms of being a league winner, I'm not sure if he qualifies compared to some of these guys that if they get these starting opportunities, it could be better.
Yeah, that was my exact justification. And then kind of, I don't know about you, Jamie, but doing the math there, I felt like I did need to reach a little bit on him because I know there were several guys that could have gone in front of him, but there's no realistic possibility that it was going to swing all the way back around in the next round to me.
Right.
So yeah. And we've heard a lot of reports about Rashad Penny getting that aggressive workload. I think a little bit of that needs to kind of come back down into reality. They're just talking about his potential if he's healthy and, what the cap of what he could get. That doesn't guarantee that he's going to be a 20 carries per game guy. And if you think about the role that he could play versus Kenneth Walker, the odds of Kenneth Walker being somebody that they're bringing in on a third down basis to catch passes, slim to none. If they're bringing him in, it's going to be for early goal line work. So as he starts off the season and Rashad Penny is taking that lead, I think that the standard value is going to be a little bit higher for Kenneth Walker.
Totally agree.
Okay, here's a question for Tara from Andrew. What do you think about locking up two probable RB1s by taking Dalvin and Madison and Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon? It's more doable than ever this season and to be set for the season, barring injury to everyone.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I look at it, I see Madison as the traditional handcuff. But with Dillon, again, we talked about that standalone value for him and how they actually technically play separate roles. With Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, those are technically two running backs that I could arguably see if you want to lock them up and have two potential RB1s. You're also looking at a situation where you've got a potential RB1 active and a potential RB2 active as well. So I think the Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon one is a very unique situation.
Okay. All right, let's take a look at the current round here. Singletary, Hawkinson, Pollard, Ken Walker, Juju, Chase Edmonds, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Russell Wilson, Cordell Patterson, Rashad Bateman, Tyler Algier, and Tyler Lockett. That is round 7. What do we think about that round, Tara? Any really good or bad picks there?
I don't know. I keep talking about Heath's team.
No,
Rashad Bateman, because I had him queued up, and that was my other choice between if I had not gone running back in this round. I think, especially in standard, there's a big potential there for Rashad Bateman and his wide receiver 1 opportunity there in Baltimore. So I love that pick.
All right.
Heath has the Ravens on lock.
Yes.
Tyler Lockett and Melvin Gordon. Yeah, he does, huh? Well, he has Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, and Rashad Bateman. Well, let's talk about that. People ask us questions about that all the time. How do you feel about that? Jackson, Andrews, and Bateman. That's pretty interesting. Just took Drake London as well. Okay. What is that? Too many Ravens?
It's too many Ravens if Lamar Jackson gets hurt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although technically they both did well. Andrews did pretty well.
Andrews did. Marcus
Huntley.
Brown was a little bit rough, but
yes,
I think in terms of what Heath has built here, I understand taking London to fill out your starting lineup. I probably would have maybe looked to just add a little bit more depth to his backfield, even though Jacobs, Hall, and Harris are good. You certainly see what the flaws can be with those guys.
All right, so I'm on the clock. We got Wilson, Chubb, Dobbins, and Mitchell. I've got Diggs, Moore, and Gabriel Davis. I could definitely go Zach Ertz here. He'll be the last tight end I'll be drafting for a while, or I could take a running back because it's a while before I pick again. So I don't want to miss it. You know what? I think Ronald Jones is a good. Or do I take a Madison or Penny? I'll take Ronald Jones. Yeah, look, you could go Madison there and have a useless player or superstar, basically. Or you could take Ronald Jones, who I think has, in non-PPR, could be a flex every week. So there you go. I took that, and I doubt Zach Ertz will make it back to me, in which case we'll be will be, doing the great or late is definitely not great for me this draft. All right, back to the picks here. Rashad Penny, Dak Prescott, and Devontae Smith. Jamie and Tara, do you have quarterbacks?
I do not yet.
Nope.
What are you thinking about that right now as we take a look at the quarterback position? I'll show everybody who's been taken. Allen, Herbert, Mahomes, Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Wilson, Kyler, Brady, Dak, and Burrow. So that's, I think, 10 quarterbacks off the board.
And one manager already has 2.
And it's not me.
It's not you.
Okay, so who did you guys just take? Tara took Ramondre Stevenson. Jamie took Allen Lazard. All right, what are you going to do about quarterback? You still feel fine right now? Not breaking a sweat?
Not breaking a sweat.
Unless these few people right here decide they want to double up on quarterback, I'm good.
Who took 2? Who was that monster who did that?
Thomas Schaefer.
Thomas Schaefer, you monster. All right. Thomas Schaefer has Mahomes and Brady. Plus Swift and Zeke, Michael Thomas, Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, and Cordero Patterson. All right, let's see. This is a question from Kyle. What do you think about Jamal Williams being a handcuff for DeAndre Swift?
It's not one of my most favorite handcuffs. I love Jamal Williams, but I don't think it's a 1-for-1 switch based off what we saw last year.
It's an interesting question. Yeah, you wonder if they maybe get someone else involved this year. We had a good question here. Who do you think? This was a fun one. Who will be the number 1 waiver wire pick after a crazy big game in week 1?
Feels easy to say Sammy Watkins, but
it's an interesting one. Yeah, it could be a Packers wide receiver, like Romeo Doubs or Amari Rodgers, one of those guys who don't get drafted. Elijah Mitchell was an injury situation, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys who won't get drafted.
Kadarius Toney. He'll be probably about 70% rostered.
No, Tony will be close higher than that. I would say, I could see. I just had a name in my head. I'm forgetting it right now. Like a Tyler Johnson or somebody for the Bucks that has a big game that we don't. Not Russell Gage, but somebody else besides one of the top tier guys for the Bucks.
Alec Pierce.
Pierce is a good call.
Yeah. All right, so Elijah Moore was the last pick of round 8. He went right after Amon-Ra St. Brown and Allen Lazard. Trey Lance to George. Is that the second quarterback for George? No, that's the starting quarterback. So we kind of talked about this on our podcast earlier today. He went before Kirk Cousins. He went before Derek Carr. He went before Matthew Stafford and Aaron Rodgers. And yeah, I get it, because if you don't feel safe with Trey Lance, you can take one of those guys later, or probably. I'm assuming one of those 4 will be available when George picks, even though he's not picking for a full 2 rounds. Michael Carter to Rob and Alexander Madison to Jamie. So Jamie, that gives you Pollard and Madison to go along with McCaffrey and Fournette, and you also have Travis Etienne. So what do you think about your team right now?
There's a lot of risk, and I'll tell you one thing I was baiting, and it's always the handcuff game: Alexander Madison versus Rachaad White. And so we talk about this a lot. Do you want to have potentially 2 starters? Because if something happens to Dalvin Cook and Fournette's healthy, I have top 10 running back potential on 2 spots. Yeah. But if Fournette goes down and Dalvin Cook stays healthy, and I pass on Rachaad White, then I made the mistake of not having at least that Bucs backfield locked up. So I feel comfortable enough with the 4 running backs that I had to take a chance on Madison, knowing that if Fournette does go down, I have some other replacement options, even if I have to wait out Madison. But again, it's looking at league-winning type of guys. And so while my receiving core can use some, depth, which is something that matters, I feel I can get that a little bit later. No quarterback, but I feel pretty good about my running back group, with Fournette, McCaffrey, Etienne, Pollard, and Madison, with some huge home run potential there for a lot of spots.
Take a look at Dan Schneier's team. He's on the clock. He has Dak Prescott, Dalvin Cook, Cam Akers, Chase Edmonds at flex. He has Lamb, Judy, and Mooney, and Darren Waller. I don't know how I feel about this team.
Touchdowns.
I don't love it.
Got to score touchdowns.
You think that's the concern, or you think it's set up for touchdowns?
It's a concern.
It's a concern, right? Yeah. Yeah, it feels like a little bit more of a PPR team to me, to Christian Kirk. All right. RJ is on the clock. Let's take a look at RJ's team. RJ has Justin Herbert. He has Kyle Pitts at tight end. He took him in the 3rd round. Joe Mixon, A.J. Dillon, Rashad Penny. Only 2 wide receivers so far. He has to start 3. Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire is his flex. Yeah, I don't James Robinson the pick. I don't really like this team. Because if my number 2 receiver, even in a non-PPR league, if my number 2 receiver is Amari Cooper, I guess this team depends on Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
You know? Because, yeah, look, it's great. If Deshaun Watson's playing, this is great. If not, you might have a number 4 receiver. I don't know. All right, well, let's just go to the best team. I'm on the clock. Wilson, Chubb, Dobbins, Eli Mitchell, Ronald Jones. Does Zach Ertz get taken? Oh, my gosh. Home run. This team just keeps getting better and better. Let's go. Who's looking at the chat? Are you looking at the StreamYard right now? Does this get bigger in StreamYard when I do that? Did that help?
No, it didn't really adjust much.
Okay, great. I think next week we're going to have a solution to this, just so everybody knows.
We're going to figure out how to Zoom.
Killer Gorilla wants to know, do you think Sterling Shepard can have a big bounce back year, or Michael Thomas for comeback player of the year? What's more realistic, I guess?
I mean, Sterling Shepard would probably have to have a career season to be comeback player of the year. Michael Thomas just has to get back to some semblance of relevance, I think, to be in better standing for that award, because he's got a more prominent name and more, I think, more eyeballs on him, even though Shepard plays in New York.
Yeah.
I also don't think we've heard a lot. The only news I've heard about Shepard was negative in terms of his progress.
Here's one from Donnybrook. I think Devontae Adams could be the number 1 wide receiver this year.
He could.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Do you? Like, I just don't see it. Do you?
Well,
I mean, he's been number 1 plenty of
yeah.
time.
But you know, that's not the same. It doesn't matter.
I think it'd be a little bit different. I mean, the volume that Derek Carr put out in the first half of the year was incredible. If they can keep that up, then yeah, it's just a matter of whether or not he can keep it up the entire year.
Yeah. I think Carr's been top 6 in yards per game each of the last 2 seasons. So that's pretty impressive. And he hasn't even had Devontae Adams yet. So maybe he can. Maybe he can. How many wide receivers do you think could finish as wide receiver 1? Obviously, so many could, but when you look at it right now, realistically, how many wide receivers do you think could be wide receiver 1?
13, maybe 14.
I would say more 7. I'm on the smaller end.
I'm just trying to think like my rankings, because like I'm down on Deebo Samuel and Tyreek Hill from a ranking standpoint, but you can see the path to them still being fantastic.
Yeah. Do you think Michael Pittman could, or is that where you draw the line?
No, I have Pittman in that group.
Tim Patrick, Brandon Ayuk, Robert Woods, Pat Freiermuth are the first 4 picks of round 10. We had Treylon Burks, so both of the top 2 Titans wide receivers are off the board. James Cook was taken. Heath took Dameon Pierce. Russell Gage, that was after my Zach Ertz pick. So it went Ertz, then Russell Gage, Dameon Pierce, James Cook, Treylon Burks, Tim Patrick, Ayuk, Robert Woods, and Pat Freiermuth. I'm on the clock. You can see my team up here at the top. 4 running backs, 3, just kind of a balanced team right now. So maybe we'll just look at best player available. And, Garrett Wilson is very interesting here. Darius Tillman, a lot of interesting players. Yeah. Oh, man, I like it. I like these picks. I think I'm going to give myself that chance for the home run, which has got to be. I mean, do I take Gus because I have Dobbins? No, I'm going to take Ingram. Sorry, I think I might have to restart. Ingram. I got in. All right. I'm going to take Mark Ingram there and give myself a little bit of upside. All right. So, yeah, you don't like Jamie's got. Like, I'm a little jealous of Jamie's team because he has ETN, Pollard, and Madison, and maybe that's bad. Maybe none of those guys are able to fulfill their potential. But even if just one of them does, you know,
but
and
they're
it
all
doesn't.
reserves.
it doesn't all have to be at the same time. Right. And they're not even your starting lineup.
Well, ETN is, but
He doesn't have to be. He's your flex.
right.
It doesn't have to be at the same. It could be Madison gets 3 weeks and ETN gets 4 weeks and what like that. Those just monster games potentially that you want to have an opportunity to be able to put in your lineup. After I took Ingram, it was Garrett Wilson and Nyheim Hines, Hunter Renfrow. I hate to phrase it like this because it doesn't make me sound super professional, but I think y'all are used to me. You get to the point where I'm trying to decide between Garrett Wilson and Kadarius Toney and these. I mean, it just kind of feels a little bit like throwing darts at a dartboard. Do you sort of feel that way with these wide receivers, especially the rookie wide receivers or the young, unproven ones, let's say? It's kind of feel that way, like could go anyway.
Yeah, I just cook Chris Olave. So, yeah. I think it starts to feel that way when you're in a 3-receiver league, though, because those guys are filling out your starting lineup. And so once you get to the bench, they truly are reserve players.
From Mr. All Days Off, thoughts on Jamar Chase not being in the top 10 in the Madden ratings at wide receiver?
It's really dumb.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good wide receivers, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty silly. I don't get it. It's just so funny that I've been looking at these top 10 wide receiver lists from different websites, and did anyone have Cooper Kupp in their top 10? Not fantasy, just top 10 NFL wide receivers. Did anyone have Cooper Kupp in their top 10 a year ago? No way, right?
How could you?
Right, exactly. But now he's like a top 3 wide receiver. And that's a conversation that changes, a list that changes every year.
Well, I mean, he had the season of dreams, Super Bowl champion, nearly set or was in the conversation for every record at the position.
Yeah. Triple crown.
Yep. So my gamble paid off of waiting on quarterback because I was hoping for Cousins or Carr. One of those guys can still go to Rob, who's got Jalen Hurts, but I was curious to see what George would do. And I like Cousins and Carr better than Rodgers. Now he paired Lance with Rodgers, which I think is fantastic because Rodgers should still be safe. Plus you have the upside of Lance, which is fine. But I took Marquez Valdes-Scantling, another home run type of pick in case he, really pops with the Chiefs. And so now I get my choice of whoever Rob doesn't take. And if he doesn't take either one, I'm going to take Cousins.
Excellent. And he didn't. He took Raheem Mostert. How many Matchbox 20 jokes does Rob Thomas get a week? Kirk Cousins, very smooth pick there, Jamie. Michael Gallup.
Good pick, Tara. Very high upside.
Michael Gallup. I'm sorry. I should really put this on all, not on.
Yeah, Gallup is another. We mentioned this earlier when we were talking about Marquise Brown. Gallup is another good receiver to pair with Marquise Brown because when he's finally back to form, and if Brown does start to struggle potentially because of DeAndre Hopkins coming back, if you're looking for second half type of guys that you can certainly get cheap, Michael Gallup is the perfect one in a high explosive offense.
All right, so we got only 4 picks left for some teams, only 3 picks left for some teams, and we just had Christian. Oh, you suck, Schneier. That was definitely my guy, Christian. Well, Schneier must like Christian Watson if he took him over Kadarius Toney. By the way, if RJ takes Kadarius Toney here, I'm going to end the stream and yell. RJ. Jahan Dotson. Okay, so
he has left the jet.
Little philosophical question here, right? So I've got J.K. Dobbins. I didn't see. Did Gus Edwards get taken? Oh, he did get taken. All right, never mind.
Yeah, it was a smooth pick.
Oh, that's right. That was the smooth. No. Kirk Cousins, Michael Gallup was the smooth pick. I was gonna say, do I get another running back or do I take Kadarius Toney? Do I back up J.K. Dobbins? But that's over. So we'll go with Kadarius Toney here. This is like my Cooper Kupp team, just like dream season. Everything going right today for this squad. All right, Dawson Knox taken by Thomas Schaefer. Good selection there. And Heath is on the clock here. Sorry, I think good selection. I probably shouldn't say that because nobody else likes Dawson Knox.
No, in this format, he's...
Yeah.
Okay.
Standard.
He had more targets than you think last year. He had 71 targets in 15 games. I don't see why he can't get to 90 targets this year.
I don't see it, but okay.
Well, what was he on pace for? He was on pace for more than 80 targets, right? He was on pace for 80.5 targets. Why can't he get to 90?
I think Gabriel Davis will be better, more involved. They have a pass catching running back that they didn't have a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Crowder, I think, is going to be as successful as Cole Beasley was.
All right. Question. If Rodgers is a true MVP quarterback, why is he dropping so much?
Well, if you haven't heard.
I mean, the Packers.
Yeah, go ahead, Tara. Yeah.
It operates off of efficiency, which works very well for Aaron Rodgers. If his pass catchers can't be that efficient pass catcher that he needs, it's a wash. So it's a lot riskier. It's just a lot riskier.
Yeah, and there's some history if you want to look at it. I mean, he's been great without Devontae Adams in the last 3 seasons. It hasn't been that many games. I think it's been 7 games. 7 games. He's been great. But the full season that he lost Jordy Nelson was one of his worst seasons from a fantasy standpoint. He was basically what he's being drafted to be this year. He's borderline top 12 quarterback. He took a huge hit that year. And it's just it's an uninspiring wide receiving group. He could end up being a steal, though. He has been in the past. It was 2 years ago. He was coming off a bad season, and he won the MVP. He was a fantasy superstar. So Darrell Henderson, Mike Gesicki, George Pickens comes off the board. As Will Brinson, by the way, took Derek Carr. Rondale Moore is the pick. Here are the best players available. And let's see, I have 3 picks left. I have 4 wide receivers. I think I have 6 running backs. Or no, I have 5 running backs, tight end, Wilson. Yeah, so I think Isaiah Spiller would be an interesting pick here. There's some good players left.
So you have a similar situation to what I was dealing with. You have Spiller, who I would take.
Yeah.
You also have Tyrion Davis-Price sitting there.
No, if I were super confident that he was going to be the guy, if there were an Elijah Mitchell injury, that'd be one thing, but I'm just not. So let's go with Spiller. Right? Do you feel the same way? It could easily be Trey Sermon.
Yeah, for sure. But last year we were saying it was going to be Trey Sermon as well. We got to week 1, and the guy that they drafted after Trey Sermon was the guy.
Yeah. All right. Couple rounds left, 2.5 rounds left here. Sky Moore off the board. Who do you like better, Rondale Moore or Sky Moore?
I think there's more upside with Sky Moore.
Sky Moore.
Sky Moore. Okay. Robbie Anderson. Have you taken Robbie? Robbie Anderson went to team ADP. Have you found yourself taking Robbie Anderson in any leagues?
I have not personally, but this format I think favors him a little bit more because of the touchdown potential.
What is the difference between Rachaad White for the Bucks and Zamir White for the Raiders?
I think Rachaad White was a better talent coming out. I think he's on a team that will use him a little bit better than Zamir White might be used because Zamir White may not see the field. There was some talk about this being a redshirt season for him. So we'll see. I mean, Josh Jacobs injury, a Leonard Fournette injury, and we'll find out which of the two is better. It's a great pick, Tara. Cole Kmet.
Thank you. Yeah, I think Rachaad White has the opportunity to maybe be utilized throughout the season, even with Leonard Fournette being active as the RB1. I don't think that's a reality with Zamir White with Josh Jacobs.
The difference, according to Jasmine, is that White is, I guess that's Rachaad White, is an absolute lottery ticket as a handcuff in the Bucs offense, and his receiving skills are top notch. Zamir White ain't going to win you games even with the Jacobs injury.
See, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think it's the right theory, but if Zamir White steps into Jacobs' role, this team is going to be more explosive than they ever have been. So the touchdown potential is still going to be there for either Jacobs or Zamir White. And we just don't know. Kenyon Drake could be a problem or potentially not. If Kenyon Drake, as we found out, if he's not 100% and Zamir White is the second guy up, Rachaad White may be in a committee, as we talked about earlier today, with potentially, Keyshawn Vaughn, potentially Giovanni Bernard. It could be a little tough for Rachaad White. I prefer Rachaad White by a lot, but I wouldn't be surprised if Zamir White's better.
Yeah, so I'm just so tired of being covered up by. There we go.
I think sorry. I think we sometimes don't forget Peyton Barber and what he did. Not that Peyton Barber is the guy. Just remember what Peyton Barber did when he came in as what Zamir White could potentially be able to do.
Yeah. As the guy who dropped Justin Jefferson for Peyton Barber 2 years ago, I will never forget Peyton Barber. Andrew says, whoa, Jamie has glasses on. Never seen that before. Looking very studious. Okay.
Thank you.
Scott says, who in your mind is going to be the player to shoot up the draft boards as we get closer?
Depending on where you're referring to, they're coming from. Because, like, we get, well, first, I think the obvious one is Deshaun Watson. If there's no suspension, he's going to be in the top 10 conversation. So he's coming from, little to no ADP at this point because of how he's fallen to, I think he'll skyrocket. And that could potentially drive up the price of, guys like David Bell or maybe Donovan Peoples-Jones to being relevant.
Jamie, you're on the clock. Sorry.
Oh, I'm on the clock?
Yeah, 4 seconds.
Yep, it's good to be the commissioner. Without an injury, I mean, Kamara's ADP will rise. Michael Thomas, if his health is fine, his ADP will rise. Gus Edwards, as we talked about, if J.K. Dobbins' situation is bad, his ADP will rise.
Yeah,
Travis
did you say Cam Akers?
Will rise?
Yeah, I think he has the potential to rise. Yeah, very much.
Okay.
To close to to maybe beginning of the third round.
Would you say Traylon Burks rising? Positive training camp reports. Any of really the rookie receivers. Because we're not London, but I could see Sky Moore if he's getting positive reviews because we're chasing the top, Chiefs receiver. I could see Jahan Dotson's ADP rising. Christian Watson, his ADP could rise.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good candidates.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here in round 13, Sony Michel, Kenny Galladay, Deontay Foreman, Josh Palmer. Foreman was Jamie's pick, handcuffing Christian McCaffrey. Tara took Josh Palmer. Jarvis Landry off the board. Nico Collins, Jamison Williams. And it's time for Team Awesome. Oh, sorry. Now I could take Tyrion Davis-Price. Do I only have one quarterback? Oh, that is so unlike me. Is Trevor Lawrence still around? Oh, Justin Fields. Let's go, Justin Fields.
Why?
Why? Because look at the rest of the players out there. I mean, come on.
There was a guy, and I'll wait because I'll take it for Team 12 if he gets there. No.
You have to stick with ADP, right?
Well, the ADP kind of gets a little wacky because the rookies get pushed up. So I switched to more projections.
Okay.
Well, our rookie drafts are going on right now, so the ADP is all over the place.
Okay.
It just got a little too hard to follow. But Tara made one of these picks. I don't think Will's listening, so I'll say KJ Osborne's another one for me. Josh Palmer, KJ Osborne are to me like the epitome of wide receiver handcuffs because something happens to the guys in front of them and they're league winners. These were two guys I targeted in the fishbowl. I got both of them. One was a little bit probably sooner than he should have gone Palmer because I have Herbert, so I wanted to stack there. But in any event, when you get to this point in the draft, you're looking for who can win you a league. And Josh Palmer to me is somebody that can win you a league. KJ Osborne is somebody that can win you a league, So comparatively to some of the other receivers in this round, like Nico Collins, I don't know if that's the case for him. I don't think he has that ceiling. I don't think Jamison Williams, because of his injury, has that ceiling. Jacoby Myers, I don't think, and certainly in non-PPR has that ceiling. But KJ Osborne, as we saw last year, and Palmer at the end of the season, both those guys in the offenses that they play in could be special.
I guess I were making the case for Jamison Williams. Maybe it would almost be a good thing if you could stash him in an IR spot for a little while, right? You don't have to use the roster spot.
If he's healthy, he's great.
Right.
The
So
potential would be great.
You're drafting Jamison Williams right now, but it's almost like drafting a guy who's going to start the year on the IL in a baseball league where you're going to be able to get someone pretty soon to take his roster spot. So he's not going to be wasting the space on your bench. Now, I don't know that he's even going to start on the PUP list or short-term IR or anything like that. But if he does, that's almost better. and then, you can just get someone else. And you love being able to stash people in IR spots. KJ Osborne did just go there to end round 13, which was Michelle, Galladay, Deontay Foreman, Josh Palmer, Jarvis Landry, Nico Collins, Jamison Williams, Justin Fields, probably the best pick of the round, James White, Jamal Williams, Jacoby Myers, KJ Osborne. And we're into our final round here. It's Brian Robinson, Trey Sermon. And let's take a look at
Will will not give up on Trey Sermon.
He's a big Trey Sermon guy.
Yeah, he drafted Trey Sermon in a lot of leagues last year, and didn't work out for him. But he's not giving up. I'll say this: I talked to Sermon this offseason. This was before the draft, so before they draft, Tyrion Davis-Price, he felt so confident that he was going to get a chance to, not just be the second guy, but to compete with Elijah Mitchell. Maybe he does, but pretty clear that they don't feel comfortable with him for whatever reason. I'd like to see him traded. Maybe he's a guy that can get out of San Francisco, go to a team that could, potentially give an opportunity. RJ taking Mecole Hardman, another type of guy that could be such a huge difference maker.
Yeah, by the way, Will would like to see Trey Sermon get traded too, and I'm guessing he'd like to see him get traded to the Bengals because he has Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins on his team. Will is doing a podcast as he drafts, so he's got Burrow and Carr. He has Aaron Jones. Boy, I mean, what a strategy in non-PPR. Aaron Jones, Tyler Algier, James Cook, Trey Sermon. And his receivers are great. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Chris Godwin. Dallas Goedert at tight end, Deontay Johnson, Mike Gesicki, Brandon Ayuk, Jacoby Myers. Yeah, I mean, there's just no way I could be that weak at running back in non-PPR. I don't know. You think maybe there's just one pick difference he could have made or something like that? Or do you like the team for Will?
I mean, his receivers are great. Obviously, you're a big Burrow guy. I get why people are. I am as well, just not based on where he's getting drafted. But yeah, it's not. I would probably spend more capital on running backs than I would have on a second tight end like Gesicki or a second quarterback like Carr. Again, looking at more home run type of plays. Handcuffs that could pop or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I think you kind of mentioned in PPR. James Cook, yeah. Tyler Algier, maybe that will be something that, hits a little bit more for him. But my concern there with Tyler Algier is Atlanta. How many realistic goal line opportunities are they going to be able to get? That was a bit of a problem last year. So I do think that that's kind of a low upside and standard. I would prefer those types of running backs as potential, late round running backs in PPR.
Tara's going to make her last pick here. She has Matthew Stafford. All right, I'm just trying to sum up her team. It's a pretty good team, and there's a lot of upside on the bench, but you do have, 8 wide receivers on your team and 4 running backs. Are you okay with that balance here? Your running backs are Eckler, Connor, Ramondre Stevenson, and Ken Walker.
Yeah, I am. Again, it's not deep enough that I don't think that there's not going to be guys. If something went completely sideways and none of these guys were actual viable options, I do think I'd be able to hit on waivers. Yeah, I'm still comfortable with having this amount of running backs.
All right. Starting lineup will be Stafford, Eckler, Connor, Pittman, Cooks, McLaurin, Kmet, and then at flex could be Ken Walker, Ramondre Stevenson, could be DeAndre Hopkins, Chris Olave. Obviously Hopkins, you need to wait. Jamie, let's see how he did today. Kirk Cousins, McCaffrey, Fournette, and then so much upside at Pollard, Madison, ETN, Deontay Foreman as a handcuff. Wide receivers are A.J. Brown, Allen Robinson, Allen Lazard, plus Tyler Boyd, DJ Chark, and MVS, and Dalton Schultz. You like it?
Love it. Just a lot of upside there at the running back position in a format that favors it. Some, wide receivers that hopefully get big opportunities. It's asking a lot of, guys that have changed teams in A.J. Brown and Allen Robinson, but I'm excited about them, especially with their touchdown potential. Dalton Schultz, top 5 potential at the tight end spot. And I love Kirk Cousins, especially getting him late. So, yeah, I'm thrilled with this team.
Okay, and then my team is Russell Wilson with Justin Fields on the bench. I have Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins, Ronald Jones, Mark Ingram, Tyrion Davis-Price, and Isaiah Spiller. I have Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore, and Gabe Davis, Zach Ertz. Oh, I also have Elijah Mitchell. I forgot about him. And Kadarius Toney. So I'll be starting Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins, and Elijah Mitchell. I have pretty good running back depth. Don't have great wide receiver depth. I only have 4 wide receivers on my team, and I have to start 3 of them. So that could be an issue, but I am pretty happy with the way the team turned out. All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Always.
Thank you all for watching, and we will have another I understand we could probably do a little bit better of a display than this, and I anticipate having it fixed by next week. So apologize for that. I hope you were able to follow it as much as possible. I squint a lot. I think that helps. I also lean forward, get as close as I can to the screen. But I do appreciate all of you being here. Please hit like on the video if you haven't yet, and tell your friends about Fantasy Football Today. We've got a podcast for you on Wednesday morning. We'll talk to you